Welcome back to Breakdown. It's episode number 100. SEC versus the Big Ten. JJ,
Yeah.
a toast to episode number 100. We will devour these after we finish doing business here, okay?
Fair enough.
All right. Let's get busy and talk football. JJ, but before I do that, I just want to say 100 episodes, man. I had to fancy it up a little bit, put a little coat on. I thank you that you didn't just cut me, drop me. You stick with me for 100 episodes. Even when I made those bad mistakes like picking Arkansas to win it all in football, baseball, basketball, and whatever else they might be, you stuck with me. You won't regret it, JJ. Appreciate that. You ready to get down to some business?
Yeah, that I'm ready to talk some football.
Let's SEC Big Ten.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the biggest story in football right now.
Biggest story in football.
In college football.
College football, okay.
Yes, sir.
So not Josh Dobbs then. Okay.
No, sir. You want to start or want me to start?
I'm interested. Why don't you go?
Okay, JJ. The Big Ten wrote a letter to U of M about their sign stealing scandal,
Yeah.
if you want to call it that. The Big Ten, Michigan rather, responded yesterday.
They did.
On Wednesday, they responded to the letter. It can get nasty.
Can it now?
It can. What's your take on this whole situation right now? Michigan's response, the letter for the Big Ten. What is likely to happen?
That's a really good question. What's likely to happen? I'm just here for the drama. I'm here for it all. I want to see what happens. I want to see if the Big Ten does punish Michigan. I want to see the severity of the punishment. I want to see how the Big Ten in kind punishes Purdue, Ohio State. I'm here for it all. I like that there's still games to be played. I like that I like the narrative. I like the drama. I'm here for it. I think I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the appropriate response is. I've read a lot of different national columnists who've, had different opinions on this whole situation.
Yes, I have too.
Some people think, if you're going to punish Michigan, you got to punish. It's just as legitimate. It's one of those situations where, some people think you should punish everybody involved. Some people think that, Michigan being reactionary and not, just taking their punishment up front is, an act of cowardice. It's just a very interesting situation. But I think Michigan is Michigan's the best team in the Big Ten. And I'm very, very interested to see them play the teams that I think are the second and third best teams in the Big Ten. And one team that's very involved in the sign stealing scandal. Yeah, I think it's
last game of the season.
The last game of the season. I'm very interested in that.
Let me just say this. One thing I know for sure when it comes to U of M.
Yeah.
The one thing I know for sure is it just means more for Michigan and Harbaugh. I mean, I stole that from the SEC, but for Michigan, if you go back, you look at what happened to Harbaugh earlier this year, suspended for, 3 games? Earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that's going on right now, it has to mean more. It just means more. That's my take on it.
Yeah.
This is my question, JJ.
I'm going to steal something else, and that's going to be from a Dr. Pepper commercial.
Okay.
And that's the commercial where we have higher academic standards.
Okay.
Remember that? That was supposed to be Michigan, but now Michigan is mixing it up, and I like it. I like it.
Okay. The Big Ten coaches, they're not too thrilled with Michigan right now.
I bet they're not. But if you notice, only 2 coaches have gone on record. And those are the 2 coaches that last year were not coaching Big Ten schools. It's the new guys. It's the new
guy
guys
on the block. Okay.
It makes you wonder why the more established coaches haven't been willing to put their name, a face and a name to their commentary.
They haven't done it on record, but obviously they have from all the.
Me thinks it's because they might be cheating themselves. But anyway,
all the indicators are that all 13 of the coaches are unhappy with Michigan. And this is...
I bet they would be. They're the best team. Michigan is the best team in the conference. I would be unhappy with them too.
This is my question to you. And I really feel sorry for the Big Ten commissioner because he just took this job of what a few months ago.
Yeah, the millions of dollars will help him though.
True. He just took it a few months ago, and he stepped into this an in-house fight, a cat fight, family feud between coaches. He wants, I believe, to placate the other coaches in the Big Ten.
Certain coaches for sure.
I think he wants to placate them. However, does he have the authority to do that? And that's the big question. Michigan's response to the letter that the Big Ten sent them yesterday, saying it, basically boils down to if there is any type of punishment, we're going to take it to court because you don't have the authority to do that. They said they didn't have the authority to punish them even under the sportsmanship clause in their bylaws, if I'm using the correct terms.
I think so.
Based on the response that I have seen from the attorneys from the Big Ten, I don't think the Big Ten will be able to punish Michigan in any way, shape, nor form. Not this year, until more information stuff come out. They talked about due process clause for Jim Harbaugh to be suspended. There's all they going on now is basically rumors. They said they hadn't seen anyone actually filming the game. They said they had videos of people filming the game. They haven't seen that. They said that all the Big Ten is doing right now is using rumors. And I just don't think that the Big Ten is going to be able to do anything this year.
Yeah, the NCAA and the Big Ten, they don't move this fast. It's never happened in real time where they're investigating something that allegedly has happened within this past season. It's normally like retroactively that they try to enforce punishment.
Exactly.
And it's, of course, the other schools want the NCAA and the Big Ten to enact whatever punishment they're going to now. But there is reason that there is due process. There's a reason why things do take time is because you don't want to be liable for making assumptions that are that you can be punished for later. So unfortunately for everybody that's so upset, Michigan more than likely is going to be eligible to win the Big Ten. They're going to be eligible to play in the college football playoff. They're going to be eligible to win the national championship this year.
I agree. They will be eligible. However, just being eligible doesn't mean it's going to happen because there's still Penn State, Ohio State, and a lot of other schools.
And actual good teams that Michigan has
to
worry about.
A lot of other schools out there that they may have to deal with. But JJ, let's get off the sign stealing thing. I want to ask you one question about sign stealing.
Yeah.
And I think you've already addressed this in an earlier podcast. How important is it? Because everyone does it. How important is it to steal signs?
I don't think it's that important. I mean, I think the last time we discussed it, you thought it was more important than I did. But yeah.
I just wanted to get back again that it's not that important to you. I still think it's immensely important. Otherwise, I don't think people would be doing it. But that's neither here nor there. Let's delve into actual game activity, and then let's start with the SEC from last week. It's three games I want to talk to you about last week's game. I'm going to start off with the one in Florida. Arkansas went to Florida and won in the swamp for the first time in the history of the Arkansas Razorback.
And Arkansas needed it.
Arkansas was on a 6-game losing streak. I think the officiating in that game, I think Arkansas got some lenient calls. I thought they got some really bad calls as well. But the bottom line came in overtime. Arkansas had a new offensive coordinator, ex-Ohio State quarterback.
Kenny
Guyton called the plays for Arkansas because they fired their Dan Enos a couple of weeks ago, and they had a bye week. And Kenny Guyton
never hired Dan Enos. I still stand by that. But anyway,
Kenny Guyton had the offense rolling. KJ Jefferson looked better than he looked in, I guess, a Power 5 conference team this whole year, by far. Can he sustain that? Can Arkansas sustain that offense?
Yeah, they absolutely can. Before Dan Enos got fired, every game that Arkansas played in, they'd been competitive, including the Mississippi State.
Well, the A&M game was the one that they were not competitive.
That game they were not competitive. I think every other game was like one possession. And
unfortunately, I had to attend the games where they were not competitive at all.
Yeah.
That's the one I attended, but that's neither here nor there.
So they can compete with it with any of the teams on the schedule, and I think that a lot of those players will want to perform for themselves. They have money to earn. They have tape to be put on film if they want to potentially transfer or if they want to come back to Arkansas. But I also think that they're going to want to play for Kenny Guyton more than they wanted to for Dan Enos.
I kind of think you're right. Kenny Guyton, a 31-year-old man, was the receivers coach earlier this year when Dan Enos was still the offense coordinator.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Sam Pittman said that he had to show him whether or not he should hire him to the position permanently. So,
well, is Sam Pittman in a position to hire someone
that's
permanently?
a good point. That's a good point. So I do think I'm looking forward to seeing how they produce. And JJ, another SEC game that I want to talk about last week. Georgia was home against Missouri. Missouri stood toe-to-toe with Georgia for much of that game.
Yeah. If Burton III had stayed healthy, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, so how good is Georgia? How good is Missouri?
I think Missouri is a really, really good team when they have Burton on the field. Without him, I think that they're not quite the same team. And we don't know if he'll be playing this week. We don't know if their quarterback will be playing this week. But I think they're a really, really solid team. I think Eli Drinkowitz has earned his money. Missouri is not the most fertile recruiting ground. It's not the most traditional SEC power that's out there. But I think Missouri's a real team that you have to really consider and contend with. And if you don't show up on any given day, they can beat any team in the SEC.
Okay. How good is Georgia? They're number 2.
They're the best team in the SEC.
They're the best team? By far, or is it close?
It depends on how Jalen Milroe... I think Jalen Milroe, they need to properly game plan for him. I think had he had Steve Sarkisian or Lane Kiffin as his offensive coordinator, I think he'd be doing a lot better right now.
Okay.
I think he has the potential to beat Georgia. I think Alabama as a team has the potential. They don't have the receivers really. They have the freshmen, but they normally have Alabama's the school that had Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle in the same receiving corps at the same time. So that's not what I see from Alabama right now. But that defense is still saving caliber. It's still championship caliber. And I think with Milroe's development, I think they could beat Georgia.
Okay. So
I don't think anybody else is really close. I don't think Tennessee or
okay.
I don't think whoever's third is that close. I don't think Ole Miss. Spoiler alert, I don't think Ole Miss is that close.
So we'll get to that later. But JJ, you mentioned Alabama. You talked a lot about them. How about the game last week against LSU? Jaden Daniels went out, was it early in the fourth quarter, late in the third quarter? He went out.
He went out, I believe late in the third quarter, came back in, and then went out again.
Okay. The last time he went out, it was late in the third quarter, I believe. Because I think he missed almost, if he didn't miss the entire fourth quarter, he only played 1 minute in the fourth quarter. But that's irrelevant right now. What did you learn from that Alabama LSU game?
LSU can't really stop anybody.
Okay. And you know what I learned?
What?
I learned Alabama is a heck of a lot better than I thought they were.
Okay.
I think they have gotten better as the season has progressed. After they lost that second game of the year to Texas, I thought they would be vulnerable to a lot of teams. I thought Mississippi had a shot at beating them. I thought Texas A&M had a shot at beating them. I thought Tennessee had a shot at beating them.
They did. South Florida had a shot at beating them.
Okay, well everybody had a shot, but no, they didn't. They didn't do it. What I'm trying to get at. And after that second game, I thought they would. So they've beaten Mississippi, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU. The meat of their schedule is pretty much over now. They have Kentucky, Tennessee, Chattanooga, and Auburn left.
And Auburn could really do something. I wouldn't put it past that coaching staff at Auburn to really show out. I'm not going to say that they're going to upset Alabama, but that's the team I think that Alabama should be most concerned with.
Okay.
Having said that, Alabama's really good. I think it's a 2-team conference right now. The Big Ten used to be referred to as the...
Time out.
big 2 in the Little
So,
8.
so you're just dismissing Mississippi altogether right now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No disrespect to Judkins. I think he's a really good running back, and
They're number 10. They're ahead of Alabama in the college playoff poll.
well, good for them. Let's check back next week. Let's see if they're still going to be ahead of Alabama in those polls.
I'll just say I'm not dismissing Mississippi right now, but you may be right. You may be right. But let's go to the Big Ten last week, JJ.
Mississippi almost lost to Texas A&M. But anyway, yeah, let's go to the Big Ten.
Okay, last week there was Nebraska at Michigan State. Michigan State was on a 6-game losing streak.
Had not won a game since Mel Tucker had left the sidelines.
Surprise, surprise. Who won that game?
Surprise, surprise, Matt Rule and the opportunity to win 6 games and take Nebraska back to the
Promised land of bowls.
bowl eligibility. He did not achieve that feat, and he found himself wanting as Michigan State had their first win post.
Okay. Well, what about the Ohio State game last week? They played Rutgers.
Yeah,
at Rutgers.
At Rutgers, gave them a solid punch. They, were really controlling the game for the most part in the first half.
Okay, the first half.
And then the second half happened. But, Rutgers is a good defense. They're a good team. Greg Schiano obviously knows what Ryan Day and company are going to do better than most, as he was, in Columbus at the same time as Day.
So what about the another game, Maryland last week, Penn State and Maryland. Penn State was at Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland kind of rolled over. I don't know.
Maryland won their first 5 games this
year.
They
have not won a game since, and we don't know if they're going to be bowl eligible the traditional way. I mean, I don't know what their academic standards are right now, but we don't know if they're going to get a 6th win. But they did not really show out at all for Penn State. Penn State, Penn State, the scoreboard looked really good, but I still wasn't super impressed. By Drew Aller. He still, struggled to complete the deep ball. I mean, they don't have the best receiving core either.
Okay. Yeah, the Big Ten is a 3-team race.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. And we're going to talk about that next week after 2 teams have 1 losses, and there's only 1 undefeated team in the Big Ten next week. We'll talk about that more. But let's talk, JJ, about this week's game, and let's start off with the SEC. And we'll say the Big Ten for last. I'm very interested in 2 games this week.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia. You just said Mississippi was not even a top 2 team in the SEC. Yet this is a matchup, Georgia and Mississippi. It's going to be at Georgia.
Mississippi is very rarely a top 2 team in the SEC, but okay.
Well, I'm just saying this is these are top 10 teams.
Okay.
At Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi gets no respect.
Well, the game is not in Oxford, right? It's still Georgia's and that's still a different state.
It's in Georgia.
Yeah, so I mean, what respect should they get? What respect should they get against a team that hasn't lost in multiple years, has won the last 2 championships?
Well, you know what? That's why they play the game. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
no disrespect to Jackson Dart.
So you got Georgia easily winning that game.
Very, very easily. I don't know what the spread is, but I have Georgia winning by multiple touchdowns.
Well, let's talk about another game this week in the SEC.
And what do you have?
Missouri home to Tennessee. Missouri, you just said earlier that Missouri is a really good team.
Yeah.
Tennessee got that high-powered offense. Personnel, Tennessee got some high-rated personnel. How do you take the Missouri-Tennessee game?
Tennessee's getting healthy at the right time, and Missouri might be, getting injured at the wrong time.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard without knowing if their best player is going to play or not.
Okay. Before we go to the Big Ten, I'm going to do one more the game in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Auburn with their new coach, Hugh Freeze. I'm trying to think if Auburn is bowl eligible already or are they 1 game away. But they're coming into Fayetteville. to play the Razorbacks. We talked quite a bit about the Razorbacks being able to keep their mojo going after the win against Florida last week. How you see the Auburn-Arkansas game?
I see it as a pivotal game for Arkansas and Sam Pittman. If he wants to retain his job, if he wants any opportunity to do that, he's going to have to beat Auburn. I feel like this isn't as big of a game for Auburn. This is year one for them. But it's a big game. It's a big game.
Auburn win, they bowl eligible. They got 5 wins right now.
They do have 5 wins. And if Arkansas loses this, there's almost no chance that they'll be bowl eligible.
You're right.
So it's a very, very important game for them. I think Arkansas is the better team. I think, specifically if Rocket Sanders plays, KJ Jefferson is the better quarterback than Peyton Thorne. The receiving core hasn't been as dynamic as we'd hope, but I think that Arkansas has a better receiving core. The defense is playing better as of late. I like Arkansas to beat Auburn. I think they're a slight favorite. 2.5 point favorite.
They are. And I think I'm not a big fan of Auburn's quarterback.
Peyton Thorne or the other one?
Both of them.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
I'm not a fan either.
That's why I'm giving Arkansas the edge in that game. So JJ, let's move on to the biggest game. Well, not necessarily the biggest game, but the biggest game in the Midwest. You know what? Let's say that for last. Let's talk about another game this week in the Big Ten. Michigan State going to Ohio State. Michigan State did the same thing Arkansas did last week. They broke a 6-game losing streak, beat Nebraska. This week, JJ, Michigan State is a 30.5-point underdog. That's the highest underdog Michigan State has been since, what's it called? The Odd Sharks database was established in 1996. Prior to that, the biggest underdog had been 27.5 point, and that was back in 1998. And they was playing the number 1 ranked team in the country at the time, Ohio State. Yeah. Guess what happened in that game?
Well, Nick Saban would have still been there.
1998.
They covered the spread. Michigan State covered the spread.
They did.
Yeah.
They covered the spread by winning 28-24.
Okay.
As a 27-point dog. Yeah. So JJ, as a 30-point dog, will they win?
I would love it if that happened. I would find that to be hilarious. I would laugh maniacally for days. But no, they will not be winning against Ohio State this time.
Okay. Well, JJ, moving on from Michigan State, let's go to the game in the Midwest. Michigan gets to play a real football team Saturday.
Yeah, they do.
They get to go to Penn State. What's your take on the game?
Well, my take is Michigan has controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Everyone that they played against, they haven't let a single team once have a 1st and goal against them this year. I foresee pain. I foresee a lot of pain.
Oh man!
I like James Franklin. You like to see a young minority coach succeed, but I don't think he's gonna do a lot of succeeding.
So you're telling me that
Saturday
when Michigan
meets Penn State's gonna feel pain.
When Michigan runs into some resistance, they're gonna say, like the board says, resistance is futile. They're not. Any kind of resistance that Penn State put up is going to be worthless. That's what you're telling me.
Penn State's supposed to have like this dynamic offensive line, like this lineman that's supposed to be top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and he hasn't played like it this year. I mean, Penn State has the talent. I mean, I think Drew Aller, I think he will be good. I think right now he's taking his lumps similar to the way J.J. McCarthy had to take his lumps his first year starting.
JJ, can I go through some numbers for you?
Please give me all the numbers.
I'm gonna give you some numbers.
Give me some numbers.
This is in the Big Ten. Scoring offense. Number 1 team in the Big Ten in scoring offense. Michigan. Number 2, Penn State.
Okay.
Total offense. Number 1 team in the Big Ten in total offense. Michigan. Number 4, Penn State. Rushing offense. Number 3 team in the Big Ten in rushing offense, Penn State. Number 4 team in rushing offense, Michigan. Let's do a little defense, scoring defense. Number 1 scoring defense in the Big Ten, Michigan. Penn State, number 3. Michigan giving up 6.7 points per game.
Almost a touchdown. Almost.
Penn State, 11.9. Okay, total defense. Total defense in the Big Ten. Number 1, Michigan, getting up 231 yards. Number 2, Penn State, giving up 234 yards. Rushing defense. Number 1 rushing defense in the Big Ten, Penn State, giving up 60 yards rush.
Are
rushing
these statistics opponent adjusted?
No, because if they were, Penn State would be way higher than this.
Yeah, I mean, because these statistics are great and everything, but Penn State had to play Ohio State, and Michigan has yet to do so. So
That's right. That's right. So I was just giving you some quick numbers.
let me give you a number.
Give me a number.
13.
13 is a lucky number for me.
It's my favorite number.
I wore that number when I was in the Air Force, that Chanute Air Force, based on their basketball team. Hey, I had the jumper back then, JJ.
Okay.
Tell me more about 13.
Well, my favorite football player of all time wore 13 times 2 at Miami. Shout out to Sean Taylor, 26.
Okay.
But 13 is the number of points that I would be shocked if Michigan didn't beat Penn State by this Saturday.
Okay. Have you ever been shocked before in your life?
Not about Michigan beating Penn State.
I said, have you ever been shocked about anything before
In
your life?
anything.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have had some shocking experiences, and also fortunately, I've had some
Okay.
shocking.
Well, you're gonna have some more come Saturday because I got Penn State winning that game,
Okay. Not only do I have Michigan covering, I have Michigan winning by a lot.
and I have Penn State winning, but not by a lot,
Okay.
just by 6.
Well, that's ambitious.
JJ,
Yeah.
go ahead.
That should do it for Michigan Penn State.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, number 100.
Number 100.
Hey, if you got any advice for us to make the next 100 to go a little bit smoother, leave them in the comments. But JJ,
Yeah.
it's time to get out of here.
No,
We've done our work.
we have.
Peace, love, and blessings. WPS.
Who dat?
Woo Pig Sweet.
Who dat?
Let's get out of here.